friends, welcome to a special edition of Cammy's Comic Corner, the book of the month for January 2010. I'm your host in the new year, Cammy. Now, when I was picking a choice for book of the month, I thought, I always loved this one certain series, and by golly, what better place to highlight it than in a Book of the Month episode. So, the Book of the Month for January is The Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite, written by Gerard Way and art by Gabriel Ba, from Dark Horse Publishing. Now, I know, first thing you think when you hear Gerard Way, you're like, oh, My Chemical Romance, get it away, ew, I don't want to have anything to do with it. If I even associate with this comic book, I'm going to be an emo, screamo, goth, punk kid, alright? And I don't want that. People, if there's one thing that literature and comics has taught us, it's never judge a book by its cover. I originally picked up on The Umbrella Academy during the free comic book day, and flipping through it, I was like, hey, this is pretty cool stuff. Sure enough, it comes out, and hell, in the first or second episode of Cammy's Comic Corner, ever, way back at the beginning, I highlighted the second issue because I loved it so much, even back then. So what you got here is Gerard Way giving you a fantastic story. People, his music and his comic book work have nothing to do with each other. As a matter of fact, he was an intern at DC before 9/11 happened, then he went and did music. So anyway, he teams up with Gabriel Ba, who no one really knows much of. He has a twin brother, Fabio Moon, and they do their art in Brazil. But they came together and they collaborated, and what they have brought us as the result is, in my opinion, the most perfect comic book. We have a bunch of children just spontaneously born at the same time. 7 of them survive. Of the 7 who survived, this rich entrepreneur named Dr. Reeves scoops them all up, adopts them, and tells the world he's training these kids to save the world. And the world has to ask, from what? So we see through the, oh by the way, and he's an alien posing as a human, but we don't, that doesn't really play that big of a deal into the series. But anyway, so they don't have names, they have numbers when they are first growing up. It's 01 through 07. 01 eventually becomes Space Boy, the leader of the team. 02 becomes the Kraken. He is like kind of the badass Batman-ish rogue of the team. Number 3 becomes the Rumor, who all she has to do is say, I heard a rumor, and whatever she completes it with comes true. Like, I heard a rumor you were going to go out and buy this book after this review. It would come true. Number 4 becomes, 04 comes the Seance, who he's kind of a morbid fellow. He has telekinesis, psychic abilities. 05 is known as just the Boy. He runs away from home and launches himself and lives 60 years in the future before coming back, and he still remains the Boy. 06 is the Horror. He dies. That's all I'm going to say about that. And 07 is Vanya, and she doesn't really become much. She doesn't really have any powers, and Dr. Reeves reminds her of this every time that the kids are off saving the world. He tells her, yeah, you're not special whatsoever. So the whole thing is, these kids are saving the world. In this first series, they're up against the Eiffel Tower. And it's funny because the Eiffel Tower strikes back, and it is actually a spaceship. And they save France, and they lost the Eiffel Tower, though. But hey, everyone gets ice cream. Well, launch into the future after all this has gone down. They're grown up, and they're all reunited by their father's death. Dr. Reeves has died, and they all come together one last time for the funeral. Because they're all back together again, this reactivates these orders from these beings known as the Terminats, and they're destroying on a path of destruction because they're programmed. As soon as they're reformed, destroy everything, have them come and fight us. Gorgeous action sequences in here, and all while this is going on, Vanya is introduced an offer she can't really refuse. She plays the violin. That's all she has to live for. And after writing a book on, just slandering her family, her so-called adoptive family, that's how, everyone just doesn't want anything to do with her. But this one fellow does. The conductor. He's this villain who is writing this symphony of destruction called the Apocalypse Suite. and he needs a violinist. And after putting her through a lot of transformations with science, she becomes the White Violin, and she is gorgeous. And she now has powers. According to Dr. Hargreaves' notes, she's always been the most powerful and most dangerous of all 7 children. So then she decides she's going to be in charge of the Apocalypse Suite, and everything she does, she plays, it's violent. She uses music as her weapon. And so then it becomes the Umbrella Academy, newly reformed, up against their own sister, their own blood and kin. Well, not really blood. But the art on this, Gabriel Ba, you know, when you think of superheroes, you think usually maybe of the Rob Liefelds or the Jim Lees, where everything's muscular and you can see every detail. Gabriel Ba's characters are kind of like how the characters themselves act. They're kind of disheveled. They don't know, you know, they're not awkward as much, but, you know, they're their own unique figures. And Dave Stewart is the colorist on this, and it is just gorgeous what he does to Gabriel Ba's art. You know how we're supposed to color inside the lines when we're kids? He just maybe sometimes in some scenes moves it slightly out of bounds, and it makes tremendous amounts of difference. You're like, oh, it's perfect. And it's so vibrant, these colors. Like in the action sequences, oh, it's just absolute eye candy. And then the covers by James Jean, who you might have heard of, does his work on Fables, did the Fables covers. What he brings to the Umbrella Academy is just gorgeous. So this entire series, you got a killer story, you got killer art, killers, and killer covers. This is, yeah, like I said before, the perfect comic book series. And especially in this day and age when you have tons of different knockoff teams. The X-Men, they can only, you know, have different team-ups and have a new different cast of characters every so often. If you're a fan of the Doom Patrol series, like Gerard Way was, this is the perfect team book to get. I have gotten non-comic book fans hooked on this series. I said, hey, give this a try. And all the things that they need to know are right there. And they go, hey, I like this. This is pretty cool. Girls too, people. Girls enjoy this series. I'm just saying, I know girls. Therefore, I know also girls who are into comics. So, Umbrella Academy, Apocalypse Suite. Do not judge this book by its cover. It is fantastic and hands down the book of the month. If you want more Cammy's Comic Corner goodness and more book of the month reviews, head on over to www.cammyscomiccorner.com. From there you can read the written review I've written on the Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite and go through the past reviews, go past the interviews, and old indie comics episodes as well. And go chat on the forums, follow me on Twitter, make donations to PayPal. Also, if you like any of the kick-ass t-shirts that you usually see me wear on the weekly shows, head on over to www.deadlinegraphics.net and send Kelly an email. He has all the best Dark Horse, Marvel, DC, Image, comic books that you want, and there's only one place to find them. It's deadlinegraphics.net. And if you want to go out and buy the Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite, guess what? Head on over to rsc-online.com, and on the online store you can pick it up, not only the first volume, but the second volume as well, Dallas, which I will be reviewing probably January 2011, because it'll make it a yearly thing. So, if you want the best of US comic books, manga, and collectible toys imported straight from Japan, head on over to rsc-online.com. Major thanks to Rising Sun Creations for being a sponsor of mine. So that does it for this Book of the Month. Tune in for February for another Book of the Month selection. I don't know what company I'll pick from, but I got my little choices narrowed down. So until then, this has been Cammy's Comic Corner, the Book of the Month, the Umbrella Academy, Apocalypse Suite. I've been your host, Cammy, or as I like to call myself, 08. Now, I heard a rumor you were going to go and donate to my site. Wow.